We don't know Yasuke's birth name. We don't know exactly where in Africa he came from, but historians believe he was likely from Mozambique on the southeastern coast of Africa. What we do know, he was enslaved. In the 1570s, Portuguese traders controlled the East African coast. They bought and sold human beings like cargo. And sometime around 1575, a young African man, probably in his late teens, was put on a ship, not heading west to the Americas, but east to India. He ended up in the service of an Italian Jesuit missionary named Alessandro Valignano. Valignano wasn't just any priest. He was the head of the Jesuit missions in Asia. Powerful, connected, ambitious. And in 1579, Valignano decided to do something no European had done in years. He was going to meet the most powerful man in Japan. So he brought his entire entourage, servants, translators, gifts, and one very tall African bodyguard. When they arrived in Kyoto, chaos erupted. Japanese people had never seen a black person before. The moment Yasuke stepped into the streets, crowds swarmed. Thousands of people pushed and shoved just to catch a glimpse. The crush was so intense that several people were trampled to death. The local authorities panicked. They thought it was a riot. But one man heard about the commotion, and he was intrigued. His name was Oda Nobunaga, and he was the closest thing Japan had to a king. Nobunaga was a warlord, a genius tactician, and he was in the middle of unifying Japan through brutal military campaigns. He'd spent decades crushing rival clans, burning temples, and reshaping the political landscape. But he was also curious, obsessed with foreign culture. He collected European weapons, wore Western clothing, and loved anything exotic. When he heard about the black-skinned giant, he demanded to meet him. The meeting changed everything. When Yasuke was brought before Nobunaga, the warlord didn't believe it. He thought the Jesuits had painted a man's skin black as a trick, so he ordered his servants to scrub Yasuke's skin, to wash off the ink. Obviously, nothing happened. Nobunaga was fascinated. Here was a man who looked like no one he'd ever seen. Strong, tall, exotic. According to the Jesuit records, Yasuke spoke some Japanese. He was intelligent, dignified. Nobunaga made a decision that shocked everyone. He asked Valignano if he could keep Yasuke, not as a curiosity, not as a servant.
Now let's be clear. Becoming a samurai wasn't like joining a club. It was a birthright. You were born into the samurai class, or you weren't. Outsiders, especially foreigners, didn't just become samurai. But Nobunaga didn't care about tradition. He broke it. He gave Yasuke a samurai name. He gave him a katana, a sword. He gave him a house, money. And most importantly, he gave him rank. Yasuke became one of Nobunaga's personal retainers. That meant he didn't just carry a sword. He carried Nobunaga's weapons into battle. He stood guard while the warlord slept. He was part of the inner circle. This wasn't symbolic, this was real. And it made Yasuke one of the most powerful men in Japan. The records from this period are spotty, but we know a few things. Yasuke fought in at least 2 major battles. One Jesuit account describes him as having the strength of 10 men. Whether that's exaggeration or not, it's clear he was formidable. He also became something of a celebrity. Japanese artists painted him. Nobunaga showed him off to other warlords like a prized possession. But Yasuke wasn't just a trophy. He was a warrior. For about 15 months, Yasuke lived a life that seemed impossible. A slave from Africa, now walking the halls of power in feudal Japan, carrying a sword, commanding respect. And then everything fell apart.
June 21st, 1582. Nobunaga is staying at a temple in Kyoto called Honnō-ji. It's supposed to be a safe location. He's there with only a small group of retainers, including Yasuke. In the early morning hours, they're ambushed. One of Nobunaga's most trusted generals, a man named Akechi Mitsuhide, has turned traitor. He surrounds the temple with 13,000 troops. Nobunaga has maybe 100 men. It's a massacre. Nobunaga fights, his retainers fight, Yasuke fights, but the numbers are overwhelming. Arrows rain down, the temple is set on fire. Nobunaga knows it's over. Rather than be captured, Nobunaga commits seppuku ritual suicide. He orders his men to burn his body so the enemy can't take his head as a trophy. And Yasuke, he's still alive, still fighting. After Nobunaga's death, Yasuke tries to escape. He joins Nobunaga's son and heir at a nearby castle. They barricade themselves in, but Mitsuhide's forces storm the castle. Nobunaga's son also commits seppuku, and Yasuke is captured. Now here's where it gets strange. Mitsuhide's soldiers bring Yasuke before their general. They ask what to do with him. Mitsuhide makes a decision that reveals everything about how Japan saw Yasuke. He says, "This man is not Japanese. He is an animal. He doesn't know anything. Send him back to the Jesuits." In other words, Mitsuhide didn't consider Yasuke human enough to deserve an honorable death. So they let him go. And then Yasuke disappears from history. We don't know what happened to Yasuke after 1582. Some historians think he returned to the Jesuits in Kyoto. Others believe he may have left Japan entirely. There are no records, no letters, no grave. He just vanished. For centuries, Yasuke was a footnote, a curiosity mentioned in a few Jesuit letters and Japanese chronicles, but largely forgotten. Why? Because his story didn't fit the narrative. Japan's samurai culture was supposed to be pure, homogeneous. The idea that a black African could become a samurai, it challenged everything. But in recent years, Yasuke's story has been rediscovered. In 2017, a Hollywood producer announced a movie starring Chadwick Boseman. In 2021, Netflix released an anime. Video games like Neo and Assassin's Creed have featured him. Suddenly, the world wants to know about the African samurai. And here's what makes Yasuke's story so powerful. He wasn't born into privilege. He wasn't chosen by destiny. He was a slave, ripped from his homeland, forced across the ocean. But when opportunity came, he seized it. He learned the language. He earned respect. He fought in battles that shaped Japan. For a brief moment, he stood as an equal among the most elite warriors in the world. Yasuke's story is proof that identity isn't fixed. Borders and bloodlines don't define what you can become, that even in the most rigid, hierarchical society on Earth, one man could break through. He was a slave, he was a samurai, he was African, he was Japanese, he was Yasuke. And they'll never erase him again.